You know, they say that when you're creating fiction, sometimes the creators like to put their characters through as much turmoil as possible. I feel like our boy Tape has too much fun doing that. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our weekly ReZero Season 2 discussion video. Today we're going to be talking all about Episode 6, The Maiden's Gospel. But before we get into that, quickly want to say if you haven't hit that sub button yet, please do the thing. That would be sincerely appreciated. So without further ado though, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so there is definitely some things that we're gonna have to talk about this week, and honestly, it's one of those episodes where there's one thing that I really want to talk about, and I probably made her the thumbnail and everything, that people are gonna be like, what? But it's like the thing that I was like, man, she's been on fire this week, and it's Ram, and it's Ram, and I know that that's gonna like make people be like, really? Can we talk about something else? I know you like Ram, but I don't get it. Listen, I just find the sass to be hilarious, okay? So the sassiness, I don't know, it just makes me laugh. But obviously, there's some other things that we should probably talk about first that should maybe possibly take precedence, I guess. That being, of course, the return by death. We actually get to see when the restart happens. We get to see some different shifts in what actually is supposed to be going on. Very interesting stuff there. And then we also get to see Elsa going on the offensive and basically ending the episode on a huge downer. But, you know, such is ReZero. And honestly, I thought this episode was pretty spectacular. I didn't really get to rewatch it this time since I kind of like lost track of time. So I only got to watch it like 1.5 times. But that said, I feel like I have a pretty good basis on what happened this week. Let's actually go ahead and start right at the beginning, right? Having Subaru wake up right in the temple area, like just after the trial, I thought that was a very interesting decision. Because at first I was like, wouldn't it have made more sense if the restart was like right where Lasagna Boy hands him the stone? Because then you can have Lasagna Boy be his like the ride-along character. So every time Subaru comes back, Lasagna Boy can be more and more confused. Like, what's wrong with you? Every time, like, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you? But when I saw it in action, I'm like, actually, that makes way more sense. Like, it makes way more sense for him to restart at the trial as far as like the narrative is concerned, because then you get this scene where it really hits, where Subaru, like, I thought that this would happen after a few tries, but Subaru pretty much like is like right there to comfort Emilia as soon as he sees her, right? He knows exactly what's about to happen, as opposed to last time where he was like panicked and like confused why Emilia was screaming and freaking out. Now he's actually like, he's aware of what's going on, and he's more quickly able to comfort her. So when she says it's not my fault, he immediately like cradles her and lets her know like, no, you're right, it's not, and I've got you. Like, you're okay. I promise you're okay. And it's very sweet. And I thought that made a lot of sense, right? Because it makes Subaru look like an even bigger hero to, you know, Emilia at least. But, I mean, this boy do be a hero, though. I don't care what nobody says. He's a faulted hero. My hero's got faults here, but he's my boy, and I will stand by this boy. Even though some stuff happens later that, again, I thought we wouldn't see for a little bit. That being that when they're all talking, Emilia actually joins them this time. When you get Lasagna Boy, Lollihag, Ram, like Otto, everybody hanging out and talking about what they're gonna do going forward, Emilia does join them. And when she joins them, Subaru admits that he actually did go through the trial. And he says to Lasagna Boy, like, you saw the lights, didn't you? I had my own trial and I passed. So with that said, Emilia, I could do the test for you. And when he said that, I was sitting there thinking, like, that goes against everything you said earlier. You know that she has to confront her past to move forward. You can't run from your past. You're not actually moving forward in that moment. Then you're just running away. And now Lasagna Boy is the one who suggested last time that Subaru run in the first place, right? That was his call in the previous timeline. But this time around, he's actually like appalled by that. He's like, what? No, it has to be her. And Subaru's like, huh? I had the same reaction where I'm like, wait, what's going on? Because both of them now have a different opinion, and Subaru's the only one who knows about the past. So of course he's like, wait, what? Like, you guys were on my side last time, and even our girl Lollihag is like, what? Like, she's sort of like confused by like Subaru's sudden interest in having in doing the trial for her. But most of all, and this is the one that like really really sort of frazzled me, was Emilia feeling sort of ashamed almost that Subaru doubts her, or at least she feels like he's doubting her. And that one hurt. Like, seeing Emilia be like, do you not think I can do it? Like, you don't trust me to do it? And she wasn't, like, accusing him. It was more like her realizing, like, I'm not as strong as Subaru. Like, I can't go through this, and he knows this. But obviously that's not it. It's just Subaru's trying to be, he's trying to be nice. And, like, I get why he's doing that. He doesn't want Emilia to cry. So I understand why. He doesn't want to put her through that pain again. But to Emilia, it's soul-crushing to hear him say that. So it's like, oh, damn. Like, I didn't expect that particular moment to happen for, like, another few weeks. Like, I genuinely expected this to happen, like, after a few return by deaths. But it happens, like, immediately. So I was a little surprised to see it happen that quickly. But at the same time, I'm actually kind of glad it happened now because we get it out of the way. Because, yeah, that scene hurt my soul. That was tough to watch. And it's funny, too, because I'm sitting there thinking, like, why did Lasagna Boy's opinion change? And why is he so against Subaru doing it and very much in favor of Emilia going through the trials? And that's because it was on the suggestion of Rosewall. And Lollyhag, Lasagna, and the rest of Sanctuary are basically kind of just following Rosewall's lead here. And Subaru even says, like, damn, now I trust him even less. And honestly, I don't fault him. But Subaru does basically, from here, go to Rosewall. And this man, I've talked about it last week. I'll talk about it again. But Rosewall, why? I have a type. Like, I definitely have a type. Like, just, I don't know why. But when, especially all bandaged up, what the freak is wrong with me? But when I see Rosewall bandaged up, I'm like, hell yeah. I don't know why. But I don't know why that I'm saying that, but I'm saying that. And this man, Rosewall, he raises too many questions. This man is hella shady. And when Subaru goes to Rosewall, he basically suggests that he asks him to suggest to Sanctuary that the Arlem villagers go back home. And he's, like, Subaru explains, like, I would tell them myself, but I don't think that they'll trust me this time. And Rosewall catches that this time, right? Like, he says, like, what do you mean this time? But Subaru doesn't answer. So a part of me is wondering, like, if Rosewall knows, you know what I mean? Like, does he know Subaru can do the things that Subaru can do? I doubt it. You see the man's gears turn, you know what I mean? And maybe I'm forgetting something. Maybe Rosewall knows more than he's letting on, and, I forget. In fairness, ReZero Season 1 was a long-ass time ago. But, I do think this man knows more than he's letting on. And Subaru even says, like, listen, I'm gonna leave ahead of them, though. Like, I'm gonna take my dragon Patty. I love Patty. We're gonna take Patty, and I'm gonna hightail it back to Arlem because I gotta talk to Freddy because I don't trust this girl. And the distrust of Freddy is interesting because, like, Subaru is so intent on the idea that Freddy is responsible, that Fredericka did something because of the whole glowing stone thing, right? But Rosewall, he makes this face, and it really struck me as, like, he's not saying what I think he's really thinking, and I feel like he definitely knows more than he's letting on. I feel like we all feel that way, honestly, like, especially just looking back on the comments from last week. A lot of people seem to be under the same impression that I am, where this man is definitely, like, playing a long con here. And okay, listen, I'm gonna suggest something, and know that I'm not suggesting it because I think that Rosewall's a bad dude. I'm suggesting it because I just think that this is what he's doing. I'm sure he has his reasons for it, but I just can't help but feel like this might be part of his ploy in some way. And it kind of involves talking about the Elsa scene, so I'm going to be very brief. But towards the end of the Elsa scene, she says that the early arrival of Subaru didn't play out according to her client's directions. 2 maids and 1 shut-in timed for Subaru's arrival. Now, I can only think of, like, one person who would know that's, like, when Subaru's leaving and, like, how he's gonna show up and how many people are in the estate. And that person is Rosewall, and, like, the people, like that Subaru is, like, immediately familiar with. Like, anybody who Subaru would have told, like, oh, yeah, Petra is at the estate now. Like, I assume he would have told, that he would have told Rosewall that. But yeah, at the same time, would Rosewall have enough time to even Would Rosewall have enough time to even put a message out to Elsa to make her go on the offensive? Like, I don't know. But part of me does think, like, maybe Rosewall is in on this. Like, maybe Rosewall knew that Elsa was going to be there because maybe he's the one who hired Elsa to be there. Why? I don't know. As a test, I guess. But what is he testing? I don't know. I don't know what Rosewall's thinking. Like, a part of me is very suspicious. And I feel like a lot of it's unfounded. But my boy has always been suspicious, will continue to be suspicious. And he has the subtlety of Parks and Rec, like, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. Like, that's this man in a nutshell, right? And he's suspicious. But do I love him? Hell yeah, I do. Hell yeah, I do. But speaking of Elsa, we should probably talk about what happens, because when this girl arrives, my God, it all goes down. And it sucks, because when Elsa arrives, like, just prior, in fact, maybe we should talk about this first. It was so nice. Like, it was so nice to get back, and everybody's fine. Everything's okay. And I'm like, oh, all right, Subaru, no, everything's okay, to quote Yuri. So I was like, all right, everything's good. Everything checks out. Petra's safe. Freddy's cool. Everything's good. We Gucci, right? Like, I'm thinking, like, everything's A-okay right now. And, like, we even see this lovely scene of Subaru, like, hugging Petra, just absolutely relieved that she's safe, you know what I mean? And that made me happy, because I was like, if anything happens to Petra, I'm gonna be upset. Cut to the end of the episode. But I was like, no, not Petra, she's a kid. Like, anytime there's, like, a kid character, and I know there's, like, a meme that I don't like kids. It's not that I don't like kids, it's just I find kid characters to be very hit and miss, and usually more miss than hit, because kid characters have a tendency to be loud and obnoxious, because the writer's just like, it's a kid, so I can just write them to be loud and obnoxious, and nobody can fault me because they're a kid. Whereas Petra, she is a kid, but, like, she's, like, a bit more mature, you know what I mean? Like, she's capable of having these conversations with Subaru and Rem and everybody, and are, like, being, you know, a character in ReZero. Like, she feels capable of doing that without being obnoxious. And that's the thing, is kid characters can come across as obnoxious, because kids are obnoxious. But, not Petra. At the very least, I don't really see her as being overly obnoxious. She can be, with the whole possessive shit over Subaru, it can be annoying. But Petra as a character, I care about, you know, I don't want anything bad to happen to Petra. And when Subaru is relieved to see that she's okay, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, okay, good, she's safe. Because, again, she's innocent in all this, you know what I mean? They're all kind of innocent, but Petra in particular, she's just a kid, you know what I mean? So I hate seeing her get involved in all this stuff. And even Freddy, I was like, don't let, like, but my reason for Freddy not wanting Freddy to be in harm's way is because Freddy already climbing my waifu ladder. Like, Petra, I don't want to see her get hurt because she's a kid, you know? Like, she's an innocent kid in all this. Whereas I don't want Freddy to get hurt because that's my girl. Like, that's my waifu right there. And Freddy genuinely seemed happy to see Subaru, even though he's all uneasy. And Freddy confirms, like, yes, she's the Lasagna Boy's older sister, but she's just genuinely in the dark on everything that's going on in the everything that Subaru thinks that she is in on, she has no clue. Like, she's genuinely, like, absolutely baffled by this. And it's only the appearance of Ram, who we'll talk about later, that's sort of, like, not, like, almost escalates the situation, but then diffuses it, like, pretty quickly after. And just when you think, like, okay, so we're gonna have a nice talk, and Subaru even says, like, okay, we gotta get everybody, we gotta hustle our asses back to Sanctuary, ASAP Rocky. As soon as he says that, Elsa shows up. And let me tell you something about Elsa, damn it. Like, this girl, she is not content to let them go. Sorry. I had to do it at least once per season, I'm sorry. But yeah, Elsa immediately, like, this is probably the biggest, like, oh snap moment of the episode, is the sudden, and I mean sudden, introduction of Elsa into the episode. because like they're all talking, and like I said, Subaru's like, we gotta hightail it out of here, and then Elsa's just like, oh, that would be really mean. And then they all look up and they're like, oh crap, like, oh crap baskets, and it's Elsa with her freaky friggin' cleaver thing right to Petra's throat, and I'm like, you leave that girl alone, goddammit! Why? And for a second I'm like, she's gonna kill Petra, like just because of how close the cleaver was to her throat. Or is it a cleaver? I don't even, it's like a machete. I don't know, it's like a weird freaky knife thing. It's like a huge knife. And she has it up to Petra's throat, and I'm thinking like, that's it, like Petra's done. And Petra even says like, get out of here, right? And this is what I'm talking about, where like any other kid character would be like, help me, And again, I don't blame them, because I'd be doing that. But Petra just says like, get the hell out of here. Like that's what I mean by like, even though she's a kid, she's mature enough to be in this situation, but she's still an innocent in this, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, Petra like really making a stand here, like just saying like, get the hell out of here. Like just go. But of course, like everybody's like, no. And they immediately go like attack back, and they manage to get Petra away from Elsa, and some really quick thinking from everybody does manage to get them all safe. But Elsa stays on the offensive like the entire time. And it's a quick fight, right? Like it's a very quick fight, but you see how outmatched and outplayed they are. Like I said this last week, and I mean it, I truly do not know how they're gonna get out of this with nobody dying if Reinhardt doesn't show up. If you don't have Reinhardt, if you don't have like Wilhelm, I don't see how you get out of this. Especially with a mob beast running around. Like I don't see it. I truly don't see how they're gonna escape with nobody getting hurt. Unless Biko can do something. Like, I really, really don't know how they get out of this. Like, truly do not. She's too OP. Like, Elsa's too OP. And, like, Subaru's not in a position to fight back. Like, Ram and now, like, we know Freddy are hella powerful. But, like, especially, like, Ram we know is strong. But Freddy can turn into, like, a friggin', like, giant cougar thing. It's cool looking. But they're not really gonna compete. So in this moment, although I will say it is incredibly smart thinking, like with Subaru using like Shamok and like kind of cloaking them, and then they get out of there, even when they're leaving through the window, friggin' like Subaru gets pegged in the shoulder and Freddy gets like shot up all in the back with these like those like dagger things. Like I don't know, man. I don't see a way out. Like, I really don't see a way out. So, like, at this point, I'm thinking, like, run, right? And even Ram says, like, that's our option. We flee. We get the hell out of here. That's how we live, right? And Subaru is obviously thrown off by that. But they try to make a play. Like, they try to get out. And it doesn't go well, man. Like, and what kills me is the scene of Petra like removing the spike at a Subaru's shoulder, and then like immediately tying it in a tourniquet, like with the arm bandage thing that she had. She ties it around the wound. So I was like, okay, good. She's still keeping pressure on it, but she took it out. Like that's actually really smart. That's really good thinking. And Subaru notices that when she took the spike out, it actually cut up her hand. So he patches up her hand with his handkerchief. Well, I guess which is hers. Long story. But yeah, like that scene, I'm like, see, look at my girl Petra, right? Like, look at my girl Petra, and Ram is being smart. Like, everybody's being smart, right? Like, this is like the decisions that would have to be made in order for them to get out. Is everybody's being smart. Like, even Ram says, like, I'm gonna go get Patty. Since there's a mob beast running around, I'm gonna go get Patty. We're gonna hightail it the hell out of here. Like, you two go get Rem. Whoever that is, you two go get Rem and Biko, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. But I'm gonna go get Patty, and then we'll try to figure out how to get Freddy out of here as well. But that's the plan. That plan does not go well, because immediately, and I'm talking like immediately after all these shenanigans happen, like Freddy stays behind to fight Elsa, Ram lures the mob beast away on the way to try to go get Patty. And, like, now Subaru and Petra seemingly have a pretty clear path to go get Rem and Biko and get them out of there. But then the friggin' roof caves in, and you get this scene, this brutal POV shot that is really, really well handled. And the show has always had these like POV shots, but I think this one is probably the best one. Like just like this helpless burst of anxiety you feel being in that position. And they show you like Subaru like kind of waking up in spurts, right? Like he's sort of like he's awake for some moments and he's like drifting in and out of consciousness. It's not going very well. And he can hear what's happening outside, right? He can hear Ram be like, okay, this is bad. Like, you can hear Ram say, like, this is bad. This is really bad. And then you hear, like, an explosion. You don't hear Ram anymore. You see Patty, like, sort of looking over Subaru. But then something claws at her. Patty sounds like she's down for the count. You see Petra's hand, but you don't see Petra. And then Subaru gets, like, launched. And you see it all through his eyes. Like, he gets launched through a window and, like collapses against a wall. And then you see, like, blood cover the screen like it's like it's the James Bond thing, you know, where he shoots and the blood covers the screen. It looks like that, but there's no James Bond. Oh, no, James ain't here to save anybody today. Hell no. But Subaru gonna have to live to die another day, because basically this POV ends with him seeing that Petra's hand that he's holding is severed. And Petra is super dead. Like, Petra is super dead. Like, her arm is severed. Like, you see her caved, like, from the roof that caved in, like, she's done, right? Like, so Petra's dead. Ram, Patty, and Freddy are seemingly dead. Patty seems dead. Like, we do see her, like, kind of crumpled up on the ground. I don't think she's dead. Like, I think she's injured, but she wasn't moving, so she's probably dead. Ram, we see the ribbon, and Freddy we just outright don't see, but Elsa says, like, oh, we had fun. So you could pretty much safely assume everybody's dead. You know what I mean? Like, you can safely assume everybody's dead, but definitively, I think the only people you could say are definitively dead are Petra and probably Patty. Ram and Freddy could possibly be alive, just super injured. But again, this is where you get Elsa saying the whole, like, 2 maids, 1 shut-in, and at first I thought she meant, like, when she said 2 maids, 1 shut-in, I thought she was talking about Freddy, Petra, and Subaru, because, you know, Subaru was a hikikomori. But then I was like, oh, she's talking about Biko. Okay, that makes more sense. And speaking of Biko, she saves Subaru. Outright saves him at the last second. When I say the last second, I mean like the last second. So what the hell, Biko? Like, B, my girl, you got so much explaining to do. And alas, I didn't get time to talk about the Ram greatness. You know what? I'm gonna kind of go a little bit over time, even though my timer is going off. I'm just gonna talk very quickly about Ram. I probably made her the thumbnail. A lot of people are probably confused why it's Ram and not somebody like Freddy or Elsa or even Subaru. Maybe even Petra. I can see some people even saying Patty before Ram, but I don't care. Ram is my girl. I love Ram. I do. I truly do. Like, Ram is one of my favorite characters in ReZero, and I know that always throws people off because they're like, she has the least development, and I'm like, yeah, now. But even when she does show up, she's hella fun. She's super sarcastic, and she's goofy. Like, I love her goofy personality, like the way that she bounces off of Subaru, but she can also snap to being serious when the moment calls for it. I really like Ram a whole bunch. And color design-wise, I like the red more than I like the blue anyway. Who said that? Not me. No, but Ram is obviously more of a character. You know what I mean? Like, Ram is better. We all love Ram. But Ram, she my girl, right? So anytime we get an episode that has a lot of Ram moments in it, I'm happy. In fact, some of my more favorite comedic beats from the show come from Ram. And I loved that Ram has that moment with Lasagna Boy that cements the ship for me. Where Ram and Lasagna, like that ship, like Ram and Lasagna Boy, that ship be hella strong. But also Lasagna Boy and Otto. But also Otto and Ram. The solution? OT3. And I even said OT3 last week. And the comments, normally when I say OT3 or any kind of ship, 9 times out of 10 it's like, dude, please no more. But this time I noticed a lot of comments going like, yes. So it's like, okay, good to know. Instead of the usual like, no, JoJo, it was, yes, that's a good call. And I'm like, ooh. I think it's all, like, it's definitely fanon, right? Like, it's definitely just, like, fans' headcanon of, like, a ship in the show. Like, I'm not saying that I think this is going to be canon. I'm just saying, OT3, Otto, Lasagna Boy, Ram, I'm here for it. Because, again, like, that line of, like, the woman you love is leaving and you're not going to say anything. And Lozani Boy's like, just take this. And he like tosses her the necklace. And I'm like, you didn't say you didn't care though. Like Lozani Boy didn't say I didn't care. And I'm like, ooh, Garf. Oh, Garf, you care. Oh my boy. Oh my goodness. Right? I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And don't forget, Garf gets to spend a couple extra days with Otto. Anyway, fan fiction, Otto and Garf coming soon. Definitely not. But yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And again, like another interesting thing that Ram does in this episode is when Subaru says like, I'll have to toss Ram as a distraction. And Lozani Boy's like, that'd probably work. Or like, would that work? And Subaru's like, why are you asking me? But Ram seems like sort of halted by that. Like it gives her pause for a second. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting reaction. And I didn't even write it down in my notes because I was like, well, it probably didn't mean anything. Maybe she's thinking about something. We'll find out what it is later. But she eventually says like, something you said back there bugged me. And Subaru's like, oh yeah? Like, and she says that when you said that you would toss me, for some reason that like reminded me of something, but I can't put my finger on what. Like, I feel like you've done that before and I can't remember when. But we remember that time that he friggin' chucked her across a bunch of mob beasts, right, to save Rem. Like, I don't know if you remember that. I remember that. So I was like, oh, shit. So we see that Ram is, like, putting pieces together, but she couldn't possibly do that? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, that's interesting. So she it's not that she remembers, it's that there might be, like, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. But anyway, it basically prompts him to mention Rem to Ram. And we do get a scene of Rem, or Rem and Ram, like, reunited. And Ram saying, like, I'm gonna need some time with her. And we later confirmed that Ram does know, like, no, my blood is the same as hers. Like, I can tell. Like, she is definitely my sister. But she's a shell. Like, I have no recollection of her. There's nothing there, dude. Like, there's nothing there. And Subaru's like, I did not bring you here to hear that. But in fairness, I'm like, you didn't bring her anywhere. Rosewall said for her to go. But yeah, like, Ram just says, like, listen, man, like, this is, like, Ram was the only smart one who's like, we gotta get the hell out of here. Biko can maybe fend for herself. Maybe. And Rem, she's dead, dude. Like, you know, like, Ram's like, she's gone. But of course, Subaru was like, no, she's not. Like, no, she's not. And the audience knows, like, there's no way they're going to not bring Rem back. There's no way. But as far as Ram's concerned, it's like, she's dead, right? Like, we gotta go. And again, like, Ram, and even Ram has, like, great moments with Freddy as well. Like, they have, like, the snippy back and forth together. And you get that after 10 years of knowing somebody. Well, nearly 10. And yeah, man, just something about Ram this week just worked for me. Like, so I had to talk about Ram at the end of the video because, man, nobody talks about Ram enough. And I think she's one of the better characters in a show full, like, absolutely chock full of fantastic characters. I think Ram is maybe the least developed, yeah, but she has my favorite personality in the show. So I had to give her some spotlight and justify why she's in the thumbnail. But with that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot and share if you care. And of course, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at these beautiful names. And hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people and see your name scrolling across this screen, then check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. For less than a cup of coffee a month, just a single $1, you too can see your name fly across the screen and join the T Squadron. And if you do, hey, it's really appreciated. But with that said, everybody, I'm gonna go make a cup of tea in my Ram coffee mug, because I have that. And until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.